Is called to order. Again, the April 24th, 2025 Board of Directors meeting is called to order. I'm Sound Transit Board Chair Dave Summers, and I want to welcome everyone attending the meeting both in person and via Zoom. Today, we would like to acknowledge the Muckleshoot Indian Tribe. The Muckleshoot Tribe is a federally recognized Indian tribe composed of descendants of the Duwamish and Upper Puyallup peoples who inhabited central Puget Sound for thousands of years before non-Indian settlement. We would like to express our gratitude and acknowledgement of the federally recognized Muckleshoot people as we gather today on their traditional lands. We recognize Muckleshoot's continued presence as a strong sovereign nation and their invaluable contributions to our state history, economy, and culture. The Muckleshoot Indian Tribe is the Seattle area's federally recognized Indian tribe. For board members joining via Zoom, please turn on your camera and state your name prior to making any comments or asking any questions so the public and your fellow members know who is speaking. So Katie, could you call the roll, please?
Nancy Backus. Claudia Balducci. Board member Balducci is present.
I'm here.
Angela. Board member Balducci is present. Angela Burney.
Here.
Board member Burney is present. Cassie Franklin. Christine Frizzell.
Present.
Board member Frizzell is present. Hunter George.
Here.
Board member George is present. Bruce Harrell.
Here.
Board member Harrell is present. Ryan Mello.
Here.
Board member Mello is present. Julie Meredith. Ed Prince. Deshaun Quinn.
Here.
Board member Quinn is present. Kim Roscoe.
Here.
Board member Roscoe is present. Dan Strauss.
Present.
Board member Strauss is present. Pete Von Reichbauer.
Present.
Board member Von Reichbauer is present. Christina Walker.
Here.
Board member Walker is present. Gurmai Zahalai. And Dave Summers.
Here.
And Chair Summers, there is a quorum of the board this time.
Thank you. So we'll start with the report of the chair. Your meeting packet includes the monthly contract report. This report includes contracts and contract modifications executed in March 2025 under the authority delegated to the CEO.
This call is no longer.
I think that was Pete. All right. Upcoming CEO goals action. So as was noted during last month's meeting and included in motion number M 2025-15, the board will be considering a motion next month to set the annual goals for our new CEO. Our standard process is that board leadership and the CEO work to define a set of mutually agreed upon goals for the executive committee to consider forwarding to the board for final approval. We'll see that action at next week's executive committee meeting and next month's board meeting in advance of our self-imposed May 30th deadline. So this is sad and happy at the same time. We want to give a thank you to and a happy retirement to Jeroen Sparman. So when the board appointed Jeroen as interim CEO in January 2024, it was only after he graciously agreed to postpone his retirement to do so. Thank you, Jeroen, for once again serving this region with your expertise and your collaborative, collegial temperament. We knew you had the skill set to step in and lead the agency with your candor, confidence, and commitment, and you've done so in a really outstanding way. I will say Jeroen initially only agreed to serve for 1 year, and here it is 4 months past that deadline, and you're still here. We got some news for you, actually. No. No, your passion for Sound Transit, its work and its staff is not only commendable, but was also a key reason we felt confident in your leadership. Because of your patience, stamina, and experience as a local transit leader, the agency has not only risen to meet recent challenges, but also posted some remarkable achievements, including 2 historic link openings with the Linwood extension and the new 2 line on the east side, which I know was a personal milestone for you. Also, during your tenure, we updated our payment system with Google Wallet and our wayfinding with Google Maps, both of which are major upgrades for our riders. Joran, I want to thank you for your time and talent as our interim CEO and wish you the most restful retirement. Not too restful, have fun. But I also want to say I first met Joran in, I believe it was 2001. We had the good fortune of visiting Sweden together, I think with the Seattle Trade Alliance and Seattle Chamber trip. And so I've known Joran ever since and have always really highly valued his advice and his perspective and his incredible talent and depth of knowledge. And Joran, I just want to thank you for all that support. And I do really heartfelt wish you the very best. Thank you. So I would we've got a plaque for you. I'll give this to you now. It's from Sound Transit, Joran Sparman, Sound Transit Chief Executive Officer, January 2024 through May 2025, in recognition of your leadership in shaping present and future regional transportation solutions. Thank you. So I'll invite other board members to make some comments, and unless Joran would like to say a few words. Yes, Mayor.
Well, first, one of the newer board members, so thank you, Joran, for everything you've done. Opening the 2 line was quite an experience, and I do know from my east side, not just leaders, but also staff that all have known you well over the years. We're really excited that you were able to lead this agency during that time. We have benefited so much from your short time here, and you will be, though we have a great replacement for you. No one can replace you. So thank you so much for all you've done for us. We hope to see you on May 10th and at future events, because you definitely had a major impact on this organization. So thank you so much.
Other comments? Christina?
Thank you, Chair. Joran, thank you so much. I think Chair Summers' comments really captured it all. I can't remember the exact words, but as you said them, just spot on. Your candor, your transparency, but your willingness to talk to anybody and engage with board members at every step of the way. It was noticed and appreciated, and you have left this agency in a much better place than when you started. So I appreciate it, and I will speak for those of us at the ends of the line. We really appreciate seeing you in Tacoma every once in a while. It is noticed and appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Claudia.
Thanks, Chair. I want to add my appreciation. We were so fortunate in a time of transition and a great deal of challenge and change at the agency, Joran, that you were available and willing to step in. I don't think that any of us could have imagined somebody coming in off the sidelines the way you have and really getting right into leadership, helping to chart the agency, implement change, bring in a new team. I mean, it wasn't just like hold steady for a few months until we find the new leader. You really advanced our projects, our practices, our staffing, our organization in very meaningful ways. And I hope you know that the appreciation that you're hearing around the board table is echoed in the community, people who work with the agency, people who follow the agency. I've heard nothing but really a strong appreciation and praise for your leadership. We were really have been so fortunate that you were willing to dedicate the last chapter of this part of your career to Sound Transit. And I just want to share with the board my absolute favorite thing. Now, Joran and I have worked together for a long time. He was the director of transportation at the city of Bellevue when I was there. And I have traveled from Bellevue to Seattle for work for a long time. And if anybody ever remembers coming to the end of I-90 onto 4th Avenue and making a left turn, There used to be 2 lanes turning into 2 lanes, and there was no channelization, and it was a free-for-all and very, very dangerous. And I remember calling up the city a number of times and saying, could somebody please paint some lines on the streets so that we don't kill each other? And the person who finally did it was Jerron. Jerron took the call and he made sure. And every time I make that turn, Jerron, I'm going to remember you because you took that little thing and you made it happen. You didn't treat it like just another complaint. You actually took it seriously and had your agency do something about a problem that was coming from the public. And I think that is so you, that you take everything we have to say seriously, you listen, and you try your best to implement what's best for people. And I just have so appreciated working with you. I look forward to seeing you on May 10th and thereafter as well. Congratulations, and I hope you have a very, very enjoyable retirement. You have earned it.
Thank you. Thank you. Christine.
Ron, you've been a welcome addition to this team. You didn't just step into a role. You put on those high hip waders and waded in above your waist. You took on so many things. You weren't, as Claudia mentioned, you weren't just treading water, so to speak, but you were getting things done, and you were getting to the bottom of problems, and you were finding solutions and implementing new plans, and you have made this organization stronger by far, and you have my deepest respect for all that you have done, the way that you've been accessible, and a phone call away when I've had questions and concerns. So you have set the stage quite high for our next CEO, and I wish you all the best. Get some rest, find something fun to do. It's been a pleasure to work with you.
Nancy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Jerron, I have not known you as long as Claudia has, or some of the other members of the board, but I think I'm a quick learner. I learned very, very quickly that you were the right person in this role at the time and any time, because you did have the knowledge that it takes to run a large agency like this. And we know that there aren't that many people out there that can do that. But you did it with care and compassion. You took ownership of the role, and you took ownership of the agency at a time when I think we were all looking for someone to take strong leadership and ownership, because this region deserves nothing less than that. And as Christine said, your willingness to take questions and phone calls and not shy away from the challenges. And I asked you at one point, how do you handle big issues, emerging issues? And you said, first of all, you need to find out who owns what. And then it never gets better with time. Handle the issue immediately. And those were words I wrote down and have kept by me. And so thank you for the words of wisdom, for your leadership. I wish you every happiness as you step away from this role. I hope you step away knowing that you have the gratitude of not just this board, but people in this region who may not ever get a chance to know your name or to meet you, but their transit and ability to move around this region is much better off because of you. So thank you very much.
Any other comments? Yes, Dal.
Strauss.
Oh, Strauss, I'm
Not a
sorry.
problem.
I heard it from over here. So.
Didn't expect such a sudden promotion. Jerron, I just want to say thank you for everything. It has been such an honor to get to work with you again in a different role. I have seen this agency stabilize and get set for the future under our new leadership in a way that wouldn't have been possible if it was somebody else. It's not just a person in the role, it's who is doing the job. And much like board member Balducci's experience, I have that same experience throughout the city of Seattle, where I've seen your fingerprints on how people get around and navigate the built environment. The built environment and how we move around our city and between cities really has a deep impact on people's lives and their quality of life. And you have been somebody that your fingerprints are all over the good parts of both Bellevue, Seattle, and now our entire region. Thank you for your service, and thanks for staying a couple extra months.
Pete. Board Member Von Reichbauer. Well, his hand is up. Pete, you there? There you are.
Thank you, Chair. Jerron, I can't add to what Claudia Balducci and Nancy Backus has said, but I would like to add just one word, the word that you're going to hear a lot for the next few years of your life, your wife's native country, not your wife's native state, Mahalo.
Did we lose you, Pete? Thank you. Thank you. Any further comments? Sharon, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you. Thank you, Chair and members of the board. Yeah, I'm flattered and I'm a little bit overwhelmed with all the sheer amount of praise, some of which hopefully is deserving, but I think maybe some of this really should reflect more on my team inside the agency itself. Yes, we have accomplished a tremendous amount of work over the last 15 months, but who's counting? But a lot of the credit really belongs to the extremely dedicated staff at the agency, Sound Transit, especially including the new cabinet, which has been taking shape over the last 12 to 14 months as well. So my gratitude to them is profound. We could not have done where we are. We would not be where we are today without the really hard work and the dedication of all our 1,500 employees at Sound Transit. So my thanks to them. And of course, my final thanks to the board. You entrusted me with a really big job over a year ago. I know the first couple of months I was asking myself, why did I agree to do this? But I will tell you, I have never really regretted it. And it's been a profound challenge, but also incredibly gratifying. And knowing that I had the support of all of you is actually what made it really meaningful. This job requires really close collaboration between the chief executive officer and the board. And I felt that that partnership that you had showed with me was profoundly important in achieving what we managed to achieve last year. So I'm very happy to pass the gavel on to the new CEO, Dow Constantine. And of course, I have warned Dow that the job is not completely done. We have additional challenges that are in the pipeline, but I think the agency is very well equipped with Dow's and the board's leadership to tackle the future challenges coming at us. So again, thank you for the opportunity to do this, to serve, and I really appreciate it. Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And we'll move on to the CEO report. Dow.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks to the board. Before I give my report, I wanted to take a moment to join you in reflecting on Jerron's tenure as our interim CEO. I called up Jerron, asked for a meeting, and we met at the Pike Place Market the better part of 2 years ago now. And I explained to him that we had this need and that he was just the right person, someone with whom we had worked, someone who understood the agency and the region and the challenges we faced. And he, in turn, explained to me that while he was always happy to share his advice and wisdom, he was ready for retirement, and his wife was ready for him to retire. And he was not interested in taking on a new responsibility. And so I, of course, did not take no for an answer and instead relied on some of our community partners who are mutual friends and folks who've worked in this arena as well to try to talk some sense into Jerron, which apparently they did successfully, because at our next meeting, he was much warmer to the idea of extending his career and having a capstone achievement by being the CEO of Sound Transit. He has brought great renewal to the agency. He's brought in some brilliant people. It is true that not everything is done yet. I've been meeting with Jerron every morning, and every morning when I come to work, he shares with me things that are not yet done, just as an opportunity for me here during my first week. But I will tell you that our agency, our riders, and our region are dramatically better off because of his incredible work. And it is a truly fitting capstone to a brilliant career here helping to build our central Puget Sound region. So, Jerron, from all of us, thank you so much for your dedicated service and smooth sailing in the future. Take care. He's been talking about getting out on his boat pretty much every day. As I take on this new role of CEO, I'm really inspired by Jerron's example, and I'm going to continue putting the priorities that he forwarded front and center, trusting and empowering the Sound Transit staff, executing and elevating the board's vision, and most of all, working as hard as I can every day to deliver what the voters of the region voted for, a safe, reliable, world-class public transit system. As you know, I've been a Sound Transit devotee for decades in various roles, and I have proudly invested much of my career in building this system. So I'm well aware, as are all of you, of the challenges we face. From the cost pressures on our capital program to service, reliability, and safety, to the dramatic shifts in our federal government's longtime commitment to transit. I believe two guiding principles will guarantee our success in meeting these very real challenges. First, regionalism. Regionalism must be central to our mission. I know, as a former elected official, how important it is to consider our local priorities in each of our jurisdictions, but I also know that ultimately we have a collective interest in building the transit system that best serves the entire Puget Sound region. Recognizing and prioritizing that shared vision of the future of our region will serve us well. And second, our work must always be defined by transparency. We cannot build and operate a successful system without continuing to have the public's support, and we will keep earning that support by remaining accountable to the vision they have embraced and that they have endorsed repeatedly at the polls. I'm honored that after such an extensive hiring process, this board has entrusted me with the role of serving the public and serving you as CEO. As I take on this new role, I do so as a committed steward of regionalism and of transparency, and with a genuine excitement to get to work. So, consistent with that, yesterday, Sound Transit completed the work to replace a damaged section of rail in the downtown Seattle Transit Tunnel. I want to thank our passengers for enduring 10 days of reduced service through downtown and for learning a new service pattern that we tried out for this disruption. Though trains within downtown only ran as often as the single track through the tunnel would allow, we were able to maintain near normal service both north and south of downtown, helping to reduce crowding in the busiest parts of our system. We also worked with our partners to offer supplemental bus service downtown on weekday afternoons, and we heavily publicized alternate routes for passengers who did not want to wait for the shuttle train through downtown. We will continue to inform this committee as we plan and execute these types of necessary interruptions and repairs. There will be more of them in the coming months as we work to keep the system in good repair and to prepare to integrate the two-line, the East Link, into the Seattle-Linwood portion of the system. On April 11th, the Conference of Minority Transit Officials, which is known as COMTO, of Washington State held its annual gala and recognized Sound Transit as its Agency of the Year. The Agency of the Year award celebrates a public agency that through its policies, guidelines, and actions has consistently provided exemplary support to COMTO's mission to promote economic and workforce development, support small and emerging businesses, and set benchmarks for leadership and promote transportation initiatives. Chief Strategy Officer Nadia Anderson accepted the award on behalf of Sound Transit, which was instrumental in the formation of the Washington State chapter in 2017. But that's not all. In addition, Sharice Williams, who's an audit project analyst, was recognized as COMTO Washington's Emerging Leader of the Year. So both in our capacity as an agency and through our individual employees' contributions, Sound Transit continues to build critical relationships with industry partners to support marginalized and disadvantaged communities and to adhere to our values. And in other awards, while initially shared with the System Expansion Committee earlier this month, I'm pleased to report that to the full board that our Linwood Link Extension Project team was recently recognized for their achievements at the Associated General Contractors of America annual banquet in Columbus, Ohio. Both of our civil contractors received AGC Baldwin Group Build America National Awards that honor and recognize the success of the project. Stacy and Whitbeck Hewitt Hoffman JV won the award for Highway and Transportation over $100 million category for the work on the southern half of the Linwood alignment. Skanska won the award for the Construction Management Civil over $100 million category for work on the northern half of the alignment. Out of the 28 individual category winners, Skanska was also selected as the recipient of the Grand Award, Best of the Best AGC Project of the Year. Our region-changing, region-building projects require strong coordination and robust collaboration between Sound Transit staff and industry partners. And we are thrilled to see the Linwood Link Extension team recognized for their efforts to deliver light rail to Snohomish County. But that's not all, because on the 10th of May, Board Member Bernie, Sound Transit plans to open 2 new stations to downtown Redmond and Marymore Park, extending the current 2-line. We invite everyone to attend the day's festivities. They will include a ribbon cutting ceremony starting at 10:30 a.m. at the downtown Redmond station. We anticipate the first trains will leave downtown Redmond at noon immediately following the ribbon cutting ceremony. Opening day festivities will then continue at both downtown Redmond and Marymore Village stations until 4 o'clock. Sound Transit is partnering with local nonprofit organizations to help amplify our opening day activities, ensuring a fun, engaging, and lively celebration. All of the day's festivities are open to the public. And we've extended invitations to elected leaders, including our congressional delegation, legislators, and others. Please join us there on May 10th. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Any questions? Board members? All right, thank you. So we'll move on to public comment. The board welcomes public comment as an important part of the public process. Comments are received and considered by the board in its deliberations. So board members have received written comments submitted before the meeting. I'll ask Katie to read the names and summaries of those comments.
Board received comments from Katrina Hoke supporting the Chinatown International District Station at a location co-located with King Street Station that ensures convenient, accessible transfers and minimizes impacts to the CID to preserve its cultural and historical significance while supporting a more effective and equitable transit system for all. From Martin Westerman and transit colleagues, highlighting the more cost-effective, lower carbon, faster to build, high-capacity transit options, such as urban gondola systems that have been successfully integrated worldwide, and how that option could offer Seattle a better alternative to light rail by delivering greater ridership, less disruption, and significantly lower costs, while fulfilling the goals of the ST3 package. From Rachel Ann Hodson, asking the board to design transit solutions that better reflect the needs of Snohomish County residents, including adequate parking with digital space indicators and more safe and practical access. From Gary Rifle, supporting the long tunnel, no Avalon station design for the West Seattle Link extension, noting its minimized disruption to roads, homes, and businesses and shortened commute times. From an unnamed commenter, submitting a form letter asking the board to uphold the ST3 plan by building the 4th Avenue and Midtown stations. From Bill Hurt, reflecting on this System Expansion Committee's approval to forward resolution number R 2025-10 to increase funding for the Ballard and West Seattle Link extension projects despite rising costs, underwhelming ridership on recent expansions, and highlighting the need for a thorough cost-benefit review before approving the budget amendment. From Robert M. Williams on behalf of the Rainier Valley Community Development Fund, seeking collaboration with the agency and the City of Seattle to support and mitigate impacts of the West Seattle and Ballard Link extensions. From Marilyn Kennel and Jan Roberts, asking the board to meet with the West Seattle community to receive information on research related to the West Seattle Link extension and include discussion to ensure voices of the community are included in the decision-making process. From Brian Chow, emphasizing a recent passed resolution from the 43rd and 11th legislative districts supporting the 4th Avenue Station Transit Hub as it connects the regions while delivering both environmental and economic justice to the community. From Betty Lau, highlighting concerns about the south of CID station options, lack of connectivity, impact to local buildings and businesses, and extensive construction disruptions, and calling for a more comprehensive review of the alternatives and their implications. From Joe Kunstler, requesting to be included in the ribbon cutting at the downtown Redmond Link opening day celebration and highlighting his experience as an ST3 advocate. From Mary Kate Ryan, asking the board to advocate for at least a 90-day comment period for the Ballard Link Extension DEIS, as well as provide translated materials and resources for language access throughout the process. And from Scott Bells, on behalf of Merlone Geyer Partners of the Commons of Federal Way, expressing concerns about the OMF South project's potential disruption to tenants and operations at the Commons at Federal Way, and urging the board to improve communication, respect leasehold rights, and ensure greater accountability and transparency based on unresolved issues from past construction impacts.
Thank you. Following the meeting, the comments provided in writing will be posted on the Sound Transit website so the public may view them. Before we take verbal public comment, I want to review our ground rules for in-person and virtual public comment. I believe we have 5 individuals signed up, so each commenter will have 2 minutes. All comments must be germane to agenda items. Speakers should not make introductory statements and should avoid derogatory remarks, profanity, or personal attacks not germane to an agenda item. Speakers should also refrain from comments related to a political campaign or statements for or against a candidate or a ballot measure. Speakers should not engage in conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of this meeting, including conduct that is not germane to the board's agenda or work. This is the only warning speakers will receive. If these rules are not followed, I will ask the microphone to be turned off. I appreciate your adherence to these rules. I'll take comments from people here in the Ruth Fisher boardroom based on the order in which they were signed up to speak. Katie?
There are 3 people signed up for in-person public comment. Please come forward. Betty Lau, followed by Brian Chow and Betty Locke.
Hello, I'm Betty Lau, Transit Equity for All and board member of the Zhonghua Benevolent Association. Here is little known information from Sound Transit consultant firms for you to consider as you think about connecting the spine. From consultant VMS report on North and South, and also from HNTB. These reports were not made public until last November. In contrast to the independent consultants report against 4th Avenue without consideration, of their findings. I use their terminology. From HNTB, it points out of direction travel, longer trip times, both walking to stations and riding the light rail with extra transfers with regard to the north and south of CID, their terminology, stations. From VMS, regarding the railroads, developing and maintaining a good working relationship will be important to avoid project delays. They also point out the south is useless because it doesn't connect to anything. And displacements would include 800 clients in support of housing, daycare, and day services. Please consider the consultant comments and the tag admonishment to act on behalf of the region and not solely for local jurisdictions. Thank you, and please allow us the 90-day comment period. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Brian Chow, Transit Equity for All. On April 16th, the 43rd and 11th Legislative District joined the 37th and 36th, adopting a resolution to support the 4th Avenue Union Station Hub because it connects the region while delivering environmental economic justice to Chinatown International District. Total of 4 legislative districts, over 50 neighborhoods in 3 cities. That's a supermajority compared to Dow Constantine and Bruce Harold. Changing subjects to the display outside the Union Station here, I'm referring to the Union Station remodel they're going to do to draw people here. Very nicely done and very well put together. They also put the South Station very nicely done and looks really pretty. And they also did the North Station, very pretty and also very nicely done. But what they don't show is the 4th Avenue option. The 4th Avenue option is just what it is. It's an option alongside the South and the North, which is the preferred option. All 3 are options. As you can tell, you folks are hiding the 4th Avenue information from the neighborhood and from the regions. This is not right. This is not transparent, as Dow Constantine says we are going to be, and it does not help the regionalism with a broken spine choosing the North and South. What we need to do is let the 4th Avenue sell itself, because all of you know the 4th Avenue is the right station to build. It's the only station to build. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello. Oh, you have to push the button in the middle. Yeah, that one.
Oh, okay. Hello, I'm Betty Locke, and I'm here on behalf of myself and also on behalf of this CD Coalition Transportation Committee. I grew up around here. I shop here. I come here on a daily, almost daily basis. And in the past, projects and developments such as the stadium and the freeway throughout the 60s and 70s and later the streetcar has caused a lot of disruption and, and upheavals. And it's really damaged and shrunken the community without any remuneration that I'm aware of. And so here we are again, trying to make decisions on transportation stations. And so I just want to reiterate that the CID transportation or the CID coalition and many members of the community support the north-south station option because we think that it would cause the least amount of disruption, and it would provide the best chance for the community growth, and in terms of providing new affordable housing and community space, because it'll give room for expansion. And I think that is a really great viable option. And also a lot of the space is already in the public domain. So I think in terms of costs, it would decrease a lot of the cost to the city as well. So I am here advocating for north-south as the best and the most viable option. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Is that it for in-person?
That is it for in-person comment. There are
Yeah.
also 2 people for virtual public comment.
Okay, we'll now move to comment via Zoom. And I ask that when your name is called, please raise your hand using the raise hand function in Zoom. You will receive a message allowing you to unmute yourself. And when your name is called, you will need to unmute yourself when you receive this message to be able to comment. If you are joining the meeting by telephone, press *9 on your phone so you can be identified. You will be instructed how to unmute yourself in order to give your comment. Katie?
So the first person who signed up for virtual public comment is Joe Kunzler. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Katie. Joe Kunzler here. I want to spend most of the next 2 minutes talking about ST Free in general, as Redmond Link is the first project of ST Free. I really think that May the 10th will become a day, 2025 will become a day of another step in a golden age for Redmond, a golden age that rejects hate and proposes community, a golden age that stands for sustainability, not craziness, a golden age that stands for inclusion and community and real leadership and getting things done the right way, not the easy way. Redmond Link is one of the most beautiful, will become one of the most beautiful photogenic segments of the Sound Transit line, not just because 3 of the most beautiful politicians of Sound Transit region work there, but because the line actually curves sharply. It will be like riding a roller coaster. So it is definitely a very exciting time for Sound Transit 12s all around the world who are very excited for our Seahawks of public transit to open to this gift, this wonderful blessing, not just of the beginning of Sound Transit Free, but also of sexy white rail coming to the greatest city of the East Side and Redmond. No offense, badass UT, but Redmond stood up to Alex Zimmerman the most and is winning the war. So I think we should say Redmond's the best. I am so excited. I mean, I've asked to cut the ribbon for it, not just because the Go Sound Transit chant started with ST Free, but because I couldn't make the election opening night, the election night party. So I kind of think this makes it even. I've also asked the President Kurtzer be with me. I think it's important she's there, as well as board member Bernie. And finally to Amy in the audience, Go Sound Transit. Thanks, guys. My time's up. Thank you for all you do.
And the last person who signed up is Marilyn Kennel. Please accept the notice to unmute your microphone. Please go ahead.
Hi. The West Seattle community once again requests a seat at your table. This is a formal request to discuss resolution number 2025-10. We ask the board to grant Rethink the Link, Smarter Transit, and our regional transit experts 20 minutes to present our extensive research on the West Seattle Link Extension Light Rail project. We also request follow-up time be allotted for a question and answer session with board members and the CEO of Sound Transit. Typically, the only transit advocacy groups whose perspective is considered by you all at Sound Transit are Commute Seattle and the Transportation Choices Coalition. And Sound Transit is a member or funds these organizations. Other pro-transit groups should be included as well, including Rethink the Link and Smarter Transit. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that does it for public comment. All right, we'll close public comment and we're going to move on to our Community Oversight Panel annual report. And I'll ask Tina Pierce, Community Oversight Panel Chair, to deliver the annual report.
Great. Thank you, Chair Summers. Good afternoon to Chair Summers and the Sound Transit Board. My name is Tina Pierce, and I represent the Community Oversight Panel, a 15-member advisory committee of volunteers appointed by the board to monitor and report on sound transit commitments to the public. We currently have 14 members and appreciate the board's efforts in filling open spaces in 2024. We do have one position open, so we anticipate the opportunity to welcome a new member in the near future. We have submitted our annual report, so I'd like to take this opportunity to highlight both accomplishments and concerns, as the COP has gained significant insights over the past year. We base these findings on both the information shared with us during our monthly meetings and our experiences as Sound Transit users. Accomplishments in 2024 include continued ridership recovery, safety enhancements stemming from an increase in security staff, a more equitable, fair engagement program supporting a fairer system for riders, ORCA developments and enhanced customer notifications, and the successful openings of the Linwood Extension and 2 line stations, which showcase strong project management and community engagement. We would also like to acknowledge Sound Transit leadership and staff for their increased efforts in 2024 to implement the recommendations of the Technical Advisory Group, which are meant to improve the efficiency of project delivery. While we recognize these accomplishments, we need to address our areas of concerns just as equally with the board. We're worried about the financial challenges facing us as we transition from ST2 to ST3. Project delays in West Seattle, as well as the Ballard extensions, compound this worry, as these delays have significant financial implications. Frequent leadership changes raise concerns, and as our report was written before the announcement of the new CEO, the COP wanted greater transparency in executive search process. While we are pleased with the implementation of the TAG recommendations, we believe continued external technical expertise is crucial as the agency undertakes more complex projects. The COP also highlights the need for a comprehensive performance audit and further development of the enterprise risk management program, with a particular focus on cybersecurity. Additionally, the board should be aware that cost estimates for project alternatives may change and that different alternatives carry varying risk profiles. Lastly, we'd like to emphasize that it is essential to fulfill commitments in the Sound Transit 3 system plan, ensuring quality delivery. While alternative delivery methods are possible, the agency must uphold the quality promised to voters. The COP is committed to engaging with new leadership and the board in 2025 to address these issues. Despite the overall challenges, we remain encouraged by the dedication and expertise of Sound Transit's leadership and staff in delivering voter-approved plans. We warmly invite Sound Transit board members to join our COP meetings whenever possible. Your presence will provide valuable insights into the agency's successes and challenges directly from the individuals who shape its direction. Thank you for your attention today.
Thank you, Tina. Thank you for the presentation and for all the work you and the other board members do. We very much appreciate it. It's extremely valuable to us. Are there any questions at this point or comments? Yes, Christina.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Tina, for the report and for all the work that the COP does. I really appreciate these, I think, quarterly check-ins, but I would love to see more individual project, maybe not individual project, but more touch points along the way to hear what the COP thinks on things. There's a couple things in the concern section that are, I think, directed at staff and some that are directed at the board. What is the process for following up on those and circling back with the COP? I'd be happy to not assign this to someone, but be a board member who goes to COP and talks through these things. But I don't know if there's already a process in place. I have never heard that before.
To be honest, I'm not quite sure. We usually work with Adam and Katie directly. They're the ones that whenever we have questions, additional questions, the ones that we aren't able to get to during our meetings, they're the ones that connect and ask the questions on our behalf. So maybe it could go vice versa as well. You're more than welcome if you have the time to come and join us. We do gain a lot of insight from you all, and we really appreciate when you can come and speak with us directly. But if that's not possible, then yes, I would say go through Adam and Katie to get in contact with us.
Oh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Board Member Walker, I'm happy to work not just with you, but with the other members to establish stronger communication there. And of course, we'll now put this on Jerron's agenda for my meeting with him tomorrow morning. Thanks.
Chair, this is Roscoe.
Yes, Kim.
Thank you. Again, another excellent report from this group, and I share Board Member Walker's interest in becoming more engaged, having a more, it doesn't have to be a more direct relationship, but some back and forth between the group and the board as to the work items that they're working on, their concerns with board policy and direction, and just an opportunity for this particular group to have more influence on the board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. Is there someone else? Okay, thank you so much. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Katie, would you like to read the consent agenda into the record?
The consent agenda includes a voucher certification for March 2025, the minutes of the March 27th, 2025 Board of Directors meeting, motion number M 2025-18, authorizing the CEO to increase certain Northeast 130th Street infill station project contract and/or agreement amounts as necessary for a total authorized cumulative increase not to exceed $12 million, all within the Northeast 130th Street infill station project approved baseline budget. Motion number M 2025-19, authorizing the CEO to increase the cumulative contingency amount authorized to increase certain Linwood Link extension contract and/or agreement amounts as necessary by an amount of $15 million for a new total authorized cumulative contingency expenditure not to exceed $30 million, all within the Linwood Link extension approved baseline budget. Motion number M 2025-20, authorizing the CEO to execute a contract modification to the construction contract with Hoffman Construction Company to provide general contractor / construction manager services for Stride Bus Rapid Transit Station shelters, furnishings, and systems in the amount of $77,386,451 with a 12% contingency of $9,286,374, totaling $86,672,825 for a new total authorized contract amount not to exceed $87,892,729. Motion number M 2025-21, authorizing the CEO to execute a project administration agreement with the City of Tacoma for the Tacoma Dome Link Extension Project. Resolution number R 2025-08, one, authorizing the CEO to acquire certain real property interests, including acquisition by condemnation to the extent authorized by law, and to reimburse eligible relocation and reestablishment expenses incurred by affected owners and tenants as necessary for the construction, operation, and maintenance of the Operations and Maintenance Facility South, OMFS project. And two, ratifying and confirming the authority granted under resolution number R 2023-26 to acquire mobile homes and cell tower infrastructure situated on the Belmore Mobile Home Park, one of the subjects of that resolution. And finally, resolution number R 2025-09, authorizing the CEO to acquire certain real property interests, including acquisition by condemnation to the extent authorized by law, and to reimburse eligible relocation and reestablishment expenses incurred by affected owners and tenants as necessary for the construction, operations, and maintenance of the Operations and Maintenance Facility South project.
Thank you. So I'll ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
This is Roscoe. I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
This is Bernie. I'll second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. Are there any items on the consent agenda that board members would like removed? Consider separate.
No, but Chair, I just have a quick thank you.
All right.
Thank you to Mayor Bernie for recognizing I misidentified her during last board meeting as Mayor Franklin. And thank you to Katie Flores for always making sure the minutes accurately reflect all of our actions and comments.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the consent agenda? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, consent agenda is adopted. We'll move on to the business items. I'm going to ask Brad Owen, Executive Director over West Seattle Ballard Link Extensions, to begin the staff presentation on the three business items. So we have one presentation for the three action items in front of us, which are all related to West Seattle and Ballard Link Extensions. Brad.
Thank you, Chair Summers. Pour some. So good afternoon, Chair Summers, members of the board. I will be joined by Huey Newsome, our Chief Financial Officer. As you stated, I'm Executive Director overseeing the West Seattle and Ballard Link Extension projects within the Capital Delivery Department. We're here today, next slide, please. We are here today seeking board approval of several actions. We're seeking approval of Budget Resolution 2025-10, which encompasses both the Ballard Link Extension and West Seattle Link Extension projects. We're also seeking board approval of Motion 2025-16, which is an extension of the West Seattle and Ballard Link Extension Program Management Support Services Contract. And we are seeking approval for Motion 2025-17 for Phase 1 of an Engineering Design Services Contract. To clarify, both motions are contingent upon the board's approval of the budget resolution. Next slide. So the proposed actions before you are a response to the board's direction to develop project and programmatic opportunities to improve the agency's financial situation as it relates to project affordability. This is needed work, and the expected result of both the PMSS and EDS contracts will be a reduction in cost and schedule, not only for the West Seattle and Ballard Link Extension projects, but for the entire ST3 program. Next slide, please. As a reminder, the West Seattle Link Extension project adds 4.1 miles of light rail service and 4 stations with connections in SoDo, Delridge, and West Seattle, with the intent to reduce travel time, improve transit frequency, reliability, and capacity. Also will facilitate future expansion of the system to the south. Next slide, please. The Ballard Link Extension project adds nearly 8 miles of light rail service, including a new light rail only downtown tunnel with 9 new stations stretching from Chinatown International District to Ballard. It also will provide high capacity transit stations and increase options for multimodal access. Next slide. So we are going to first present the budget resolution, as it will explain where the money is being allocated and the intended budget actions. In response to some questions that were raised at the April System Expansion Committee, we have provided more detail regarding the budget actions, which we will describe in the following 3 slides. Next slide, please. So here we are seeking board approval for additional budget for the West Seattle Link Extension project to further the work required under Motion 2024-59, which was adopted in the fall of last year. This motion directed staff to advance project and programmatic cost-saving opportunities. It is agency practice to come before the board with discrete budget actions which provide controls and visibility as we advance project development up to the point of baseline. While we are asking for the budget authority today, these were forecasted expenditures based on where we are in project development. The budget amendment includes an allocation of $61.4 million to the West Seattle project. Approximately $44 million of this would be added to the 2025 budget, and the remaining $17 million is requested for 26 and beyond. Next slide. For Ballard Link Extension, the budget amendment includes an allocation of $7.4 million to the Ballard project budget. Approximately 3.7 would be added to the 25 budget, and the remaining 3.7 is requested for 26 and beyond. Next slide, please. Here you can see a breakout of the budget allocations by both project and contract. As you can see, the values for this table are additive down the columns for each project and across the rows for each contract. The previously mentioned $7.4 million for Ballard is shown under the Ballard column, and the previously mentioned $61.4 million for West Seattle is shown under the West Seattle column. If you add across the rows, you can see the total budget allocation for PMSS is not to exceed $41.5 million, and the total budget allocation for the EDS is not to exceed $27.3 million. We're going to get into the details of each contract action on the next slide. So motion 2025-16 is for the Program Management Support Services, or PMSS, for Ballard and West Seattle projects. Next slide. This slide addresses the PMSS not to exceed amount of 41.5 million. You see on the slide salient areas in which the PMSS provides support. First and foremost, they are performing extensive work related to the cost work plan as directed by the board in the fall of last year. This includes managing more than 500 programmatic and project-specific cost-saving measures to improve the affordability of the ST3 program. This contract will provide feasibility analysis, constructability analysis, estimating and scheduling services, to name a few of their items. They also provide for West Seattle and Ballard general owners representative services. This includes project management support, third-party management, FTA and grant support, and design and construction support. As we move from planning into design, there are many technical paths to follow, including structural and geotechnical engineering management, traction power modeling, ventilation modeling, track and alignment modeling, and the list goes on. The PMSS is also supporting our work with stakeholders, assisting our outreach effort to property owners, residents, employers, and community organizations. Their efforts include scenario planning visualization tools, traffic modeling, and analyzation of construction impacts. And finally, I want to reiterate that this is a staff augmentation model, and the total contract amount we provide is a not to exceed amount. As Sound Transit staff transition from projects in active construction, such as downtown Redmond Link, East Link, and Federal Way, Sound Transit staff will be prioritized in an effort to reduce expenditures on consultants. Next slide. This slide provides a more detailed breakdown of the services that I have mentioned on the PMSS. As you can see in the pie chart, the owner's representative support makes up more than 50% of the expenditures. These are typical expenditures for projects at this stage and include staff augmentation and additional technical support necessary for managing projects of this scale and complexity. The other categories of costs that you see in the pie chart are for the cost work plan support, including subject matter experts. As I've mentioned before, this work is an additional scope element and is in direct response to motion 2024-59 of the cost work plan. Under this cost work plan support, we bring in subject matter and industry experts from across the world to advance cost-saving opportunities that will drive down costs for these two projects and the entire program. Next slide. I'm now going to present on motion 2025-17, which is the engineering design services or EDS contract specifically for the West Seattle Link Extension project. Next slide. This action authorizes a contract with Jacobs Engineering to provide civil engineering design services in 3 distinct phases. When all 3 phases are fully executed, we will have advanced West Seattle Link Extension from 30% preliminary engineering to design completion. However, we have specifically negotiated a 6-month phase 1 contract option that will focus the efforts on affordability and refining, identifying, and implementing cost savings opportunities. Phases 2 and 3 are contract options to be negotiated and finalized based on the project progress, and we will come back to the board to report on cost saving opportunities before seeking your approval to enter into phase 2. The total not to exceed contract price of 27.3 includes the entire phase 1 budget with a 10% contingency. Next slide, please. As I mentioned previously, the PMSS and EDS contracts are specifically structured to directly support the efforts to improve the agency's financial situation in accordance with the board motion 2024-59. As you can see from the chart, there are quite a few disciplines necessary to address these programmatic affordability. West Seattle is the vanguard for the identification of cost savings that will be applicable across the ST3 program, including Tacoma Dome and Everett Link extensions. Without the support provided within these contracts, progress on the work plan and cost-saving opportunities would be slowed, and we would be required to procure additional services to support the work plan functions, which could add cost and schedule to the project. Next slide. So the next steps, we would work with the PMSS to continue identifying and validate cost-saving opportunities for West Seattle, Ballard, and the ST3 program. Upon approval of these actions, we would issue a notice to proceed for the engineering and design services phase 1. In Q2 of this year, we would return to the System Expansion Committee to report on the programmatic and project-specific work plan progress. Q3 of 25, we would report to the board on the progress of the engineering and design services phase 1 validation efforts. And in Q4, we would return to request budget authority to move into the next phase of the design contract, phase 2 final design. Next slide. So to summarize, we are seeking approval to proceed with the West Seattle Link Extension and Ballard Link Extension budget amendment, which includes the approval of the Program Management Support Services Phase 2 Contract Motion 2025-16 and the West Seattle Link Extension Engineering Design Services Phase 1 Contract 2025-17. With that, that is my presentation. Happy to take questions.
Thank you. And before we move on to action, are there questions by board members?
Chair Summers. This might be a good moment to just give a few comments about the discussion we had in committee. It doesn't really go with the motion, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
Thank you. So we discussed all of these upcoming actions and received a briefing. There's more detail that the staff presented just now, and we received, and we, fair to say, a very robust discussion with a lot of questions and answers. I think the overarching question was, and I'm just speaking for myself now, I'll let the committee members add whatever they would like to add, that it's clear that the proposals, the budget proposal and the contract proposals, will be essential to gaining additional information, especially that, emanates from design work that the board will need to make decisions about both of these projects. That the staff is approaching this in what I would call targeted phases instead of going for a complete set of contracts and budget here. We're doing steps so that there are more opportunities for the board to get information back and set direction going forward, which is in keeping with the challenges that we're facing today. And of course, they have provided off-ramps for us, all of which very essential, given the amount of uncertainty around cost escalation for both of these projects and the program generally going forward. I will say, though, that the discussion we had underscores how important and how much of a need we have for good information and transparency as we make decisions on any of these big expansion projects going forward, because we need to understand the trade-offs. If we pay for this now, will we be paying for work that necessarily feeds into something that we're going to do in the future? Are we paying for something that we might make a decision in the future, meaning that this work wasn't necessary, sort of like excess work? It's just because of the financial challenges that we're facing, it is just exceptionally important. It's always important, but it is especially important now that we see the path forward. I requested and staff provided a detailed timeline of these projects going back to their inception and looking forward into the future. It is very informational. I would suggest that staff, if they're willing to, it's a work in progress, but I share it with the rest of the board because it helped me to visualize the path forward and when the decisions are coming back to us, bigger decisions. So we sent this forward out of committee with no recommendation. It's kind of unusual. Typically, we make a recommendation, but first of all, it seemed time sensitive and I didn't want to hold it in committee, but also there were a lot of questions and a lot of discussion. I'm satisfied sitting here today that we should move these projects forward because they do incrementally advance our knowledge and advance the project so they're not stalled, which would be its own way of increasing costs and uncertainty. But it does underscore, as I said, the need to make sure we are very, very clear about trade-offs when we're being asked to make decisions as we are still walking with the path of what to do with the whole program generally. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Let's get resolution R 2025-10 on the
Chair,
Yes,
may I move the resolution?
we'll have it read in first and then
Thank
we'll
you.
ask for.
Resolution number R 2025-10 is a resolution of the Board of the Central Puget Sound Regional Transit Authority. One, amending the adopted 2025 budget to advance the West Seattle Link Extension project through the completion of the preliminary engineering phase into the final design phase by A, increasing the authorized project allocation by $61,400,000 from $270,340,863 to $331,740,863, and B, increasing the adopted 2025 annual project budget by $44,350,000 from $94,926,236 to $139,276,236, and two, amending the adopted 2025 budget to advance the Ballard Link Extension project through the completion of the preliminary engineering phase by A, increasing the authorized project allocation by $7,400,000 from $806,619,999 to $814,019,999, and B, increasing the adopted 2025 annual project budget by $3,700,000 from $96,298,561 to $99,998,561.
Thank you. And I was going to call on Chair Bellucci for comments, but you'll have another opportunity in a minute. But is there a motion to approve?
Chair, I move resolution number 2025-10.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion and a second. So now we'll have further discussion. Oh, yes, sorry. Yeah, Bill.
Thank you, Chair. I just first want to thank the System Expansion Committee for the robust discussion on this item. I appreciate the staff follow-up with that. This presentation was much clearer, much more in-depth. So thank you for listening to us, and thank you for sharing the information that we asked for. I'm happy to support this item, but I do really appreciate the work that went into bringing it to us today. Thank you.
Further discussion. Yes, Christina.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate the presentation, and I'm not an SEC, but this has helped me understand it more than previous presentations, and there's a lot to understand here. I know others probably are going to speak as well, but those of us at the end of the line are very nervous about this dollar amount, and the statement that this could impact our ability to deliver other things. I understand now that this work is important to get to that answer. And thank you for being really clear about where the points are that we can make some decisions to change the project, how we move forward. I think that's really, really important. And then you also said, and I'm just confirming, that at the end of phase one, after 6 months, when we know so much more, then we'll be back here with the board to approve phase two in some sort of format that we will have been discussing and brought along on.
That is correct.
Okay. So I'm nervously supporting this. It's a really, really important project as part of the system, but I also have a very important project at the end of the line in Tacoma, and I want to make sure that we get there. So I want to be careful, and this is a very, very big number, but I look forward to figuring out the answers to the questions that we have as an agency, figuring out that engineering piece and having the subject matter experts on board as part of this design team. I think it's important and valuable work. So looking forward to, and I also want to thank the System Expansion Committee, because I know this is a heavy lift and a lot of committee time and a lot of stuff to dig into. So I appreciate all of my colleagues who are doing that work and digging in and reporting back to us. So thank you.
Thank you. Cassie.
Yeah, I'm in a similar position to Board Member Walker. I am very concerned about the rising costs as the end of the line here in the north in Everett, and certainly concerned about the financial implications for the full ST3 program. I appreciate staff's work and getting us more information, and I understand that this investment is going to help us, towards budget savings, which are critical for the ST3 program. But I think as we very cautiously proceed on this, we really have to hold firm our commitment to delivering the spine as the highest priority as promised to our voters, and getting to Tacoma and Everett. And so I can very cautiously support this, but this is kind of, for me, the end of those investments until I have that commitment and the full financial picture of how we're going to be able to complete the spine. Thank you.
Thank you. Christine.
So I was concerned when I read this and I did not see the do pass recommendation. I had hoped that the committee would be seeing things in a more positive light. I'm a little concerned. We've talked about exit ramps at the last few meetings when we've talked about West Seattle, and I know we have more exit ramps, but at what point are we going to say, we put so much into it, we just need to push through and make it happen? So I'm having a really hard time saying yes on this. I do understand that once we go through this next budget series, we're going to have more information. And I just want to remind all of us that when we get there, let's not be saying, well, we've put so much into this, we might as well, because that's going to be the wrong answer. I want us to be judicious during the process, and hopefully we have a couple of, not just a couple, but quite a few check-ins along the way, and some very hard discussions. I'm quite interested in meeting with the people from West Seattle and hearing what they have to say. I'm interested in looking at ridership forecasts and making sure that this is meeting the needs, that environmentally we're meeting the needs of our climate. There's a lot of environmental situations going on this part of the project, and I've done a tour out there with a number of Sound Transit folks, and it's going to be really disruptive, but I'm willing to go a little bit further. And that's the end of my comments.
Thank you. Yes, Hunter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I too kind of came into this. I feel like there's so many red flags, and in not seeing the System Expansion Committee is seeing that it advanced with no recommendation had me concerned enough that I went and I watched the meeting, and I really appreciate the conversation you all had. There were good questions, great staff input, and I see the difference between that presentation and the one today. You've won me over for today. I will say I'm as cautious, feeling as cautious as some of my colleagues here. There's a line in all three of these motions in the financial section that says, the WSLE estimated project cost exceeds the affordable cost for the project in the ST3 financial plan according to the 2024 preliminary cost estimate, and therefore potentially impacts the timely deliverability of other system expansion projects. That scares everybody at both ends of the line. And it's not boilerplate. I appreciate that we've put that in there. It's important. But then in the presentation today, you've staff, Mr. Owen particularly, you've done a great job of showing how you've talked about how WSLE is the vanguard, that these cost savings opportunities can be replicated, and that pausing this now would address would delay our ability to address rising costs and future baselining decisions. I think, as Mayor Franklin said, I'm there today. This might be it for a while. I'm really going to have to see how far, what we learn in this next phase, but I can appreciate that we're going to have to spend some money to figure out where we go from here. So I will support this today. Thank you.
Other comments? Kim.
Sure. Yes, I did have a question that I think I've answered on my own, but because it's a result of the various actions we're taking today, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to clarify it for me. In the feature summary of motion 2025-17, the first bullet point indicates that this will take us, this West Seattle Link Extension project, from 30% preliminary engineering design to design completion, 100%. And then we see 30% design, and then on slide 14 in the presentation, it indicates refines 30% design and incorporates cost-saving measures. Could you just tell me exactly how far this motion 2025-17 takes us in design for West Seattle?
So the phase one of this contract would only take us through the validation of the basis of design and the cost saving opportunities. Phase two would allow us to begin at the 30% design phase and advance it from 30 to the next design phase would be 60.
Okay. Keep going.
And so this is only for we actually are not entering into final design with this phase one piece. We are simply validating decisions and things that were made in the preliminary engineering phase, and then really looking at ways to cut cost on the project.
All right, thank you. I'll also just say that I share the concerns around getting to the rest of the ST3 project with these costs. One thing I believe has come up in conversations, at least out on construction sites or tours, and that I'm hopeful I can learn more about after we approve this contract, is not just the off-ramps from full line extensions, from fully getting to West Seattle or fully getting to Ballard, but are there opportunities where we build a portion of each of those lines to allow the system to operate as it is intended to, with 3 separate lines? I'm hopeful that we can get more information, and I'm actually assuming we will, so tell me if I'm wrong. I'm assuming that we will get information about those potential opportunities to do partial line completion.
That is correct. This action combined with the PMSS action specifically will tell us which pieces of the lines we can build, how we can build them. It will give you that clarity.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? Chair. Yes, Dan.
Colleagues, thank you for continuing to endeavor down this rail line with us for West Seattle and Ballard. I too had a number of concerns after watching the last committee meeting, and I appreciate, Brad, the amount of time that you spent with me answering my questions this week. Colleagues, what's before us really does allow us to continue the work of understanding how we can save money through this project, and there's a real benefit to the entire system for this. To Board Member Roscoe, regarding minimum segments for either of these lines, if we are to engage in that work, I would say that we need to rename these lines, because the minimum segment for Ballard does not get to Ballard. And that's not a here and now conversation, but I just recognize that getting to Smith Cove is very different than getting to Ballard. And if that is a road we're going to go down, I would simply request a name change. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? No, I'll just say I support this action today. I think it's really important we keep moving on these projects and improving the information that we have to make those final decisions down the road about what we're going to be built, the project to be built. And it's vital that we not kind of stall the process, because it costs time and money. So supportive of this. I think this conversation emphasizes to me, we've started talking about a board retreat or two, and really laying out a clear roadmap of decision points and off-roads, or whatever you want to call them, but where the critical decision points are, so that the board has a really clear understanding of those and how the different projects of ST3 fit together. in time and space and where those decision points are. So we'll make sure that we cover that because that's a key question. Now is not the time to pause. So we'll definitely support this. Any other comments? All right, I think we need a roll call, or do we? Is it a voice on this one?
Happy to do a roll call vote.
Okay.
Nancy Backus.
Aye.
Board Member Backus votes aye. Claudia Balducci.
Aye.
Board Member Balducci votes aye. Angela Burney.
Aye.
Board Member Burney votes aye. Cassie Franklin.
Aye.
Board Member Franklin votes aye. Christine Frizzell.
Aye.
Board Member Frizzell votes aye. Hunter George.
Aye.
Board Member George votes aye. Bruce Harrell.
Aye.
Board Member Harrell votes aye. Ryan Mello.
Aye.
Board Member Mello votes aye. Julie Meredith.
Aye.
Board Member Meredith votes aye. Ed Prince. Deshaun Quinn.
Aye.
Board Member Quinn votes aye. Kim Roscoe.
Aye.
Board Member Roscoe votes aye. Dan Strauss.
Yes.
Board Member Strauss votes aye. Pete Von Reichbauer.
Aye.
Board Member Von Reichbauer votes aye. Christina Walker.
Aye.
Board Member Walker votes aye. Gurmai Zahalai.
Aye.
Board Member Zahalai votes aye. Dave Summers.
Aye.
And Chair Summers, with your vote, that's 16 affirmative votes.
Thank you. The resolution is passed. We'll move on to motion number M 2025-16, and this was covered in the presentation. So, Katie?
Motion number M 2025-16 is a motion of the Board of the Central Puget Sound Regional Transit Authority authorizing the Chief Executive Officer to execute a contract modification to the Program Management Support Services contract with Connect Seattle Partners, a Mott McDonald / WSP joint venture, to exercise an option for Phase 2 services and extend the term of the contract for 1 year in the amount of $37,700,080 with a 10% contingency of $3,770,008, totaling $41,470,088 for a new total authorized contract amount not to exceed $83,209,716, contingent upon adoption of resolution number R 2025-10.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
Chair Strauss.
Thank you. Second?
Just moving motion to M 2025-16.
Second by Bernie.
Thank you. Discussion on the motion. Any further questions or discussion?
Chair.
Yes.
Strauss, just stating my previous comments apply to all three motions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? All right, Katie?
Nancy Backus.
Aye.
Board Member Backus votes aye. Claudia Balducci.
Aye.
Board Member Balducci votes aye. Angela Burney.
Aye.
Board Member Burney votes aye. Cassie Franklin.
Aye.
Board Member Franklin votes aye. Christine Frizzell.
Aye.
Board Member Frizzell votes aye. Hunter George.
Aye.
Board Member George votes aye. Bruce Harrell.
Aye.
Board Member Harrell votes aye. Ryan Mello.
Aye.
Board Member Mello votes aye. Julie Meredith.
Aye.
Board Member Meredith votes aye. Ed Prince. Deshaun Quinn.
Aye.
Board Member Quinn votes aye. Kim Roscoe.
Aye.
Board Member Roscoe votes aye. Dan Strauss.
Yes.
Board Member Strauss votes aye. Pete Von Reichbauer.
Aye.
Board Member Von Reichbauer votes aye. Christina Walker.
Aye.
Board Member Walker votes aye. Gurmai Zahalai.
Aye.
Board Member Zahalai votes aye. And Dave Summers.
Aye.
Chair Summers, with your vote, that's 16 affirmative votes.
So motion 2025-16 is passed. Move on to motion M 2025-17. Katie?
Motion number M 2025-17 is a motion of the Board of the Central Puget Sound Regional Transit Authority authorizing the Chief Executive Officer to execute a contract with Jacobs Engineering Group, Inc. for Phase 1 Civil Engineering Design Services for the West Seattle Link Extension in the amount of $24,791,877 with a 10% contingency of $2,479,188 for a total authorized amount not to exceed $27,271,065, contingent upon adoption of resolution number R 2025-10.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
Chair Strauss, moving motion M 2025-17.
Second.
Oh,
Board Member Quinn.
You can pick. Can you? All right. There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? All right, Katie.
Nancy Bacchus.
Aye.
Board Member Bacchus votes aye. Claudia Balducci.
Aye.
Board Member Balducci votes aye. Angela Burney.
Aye.
Board Member Burney votes aye. Cassie Franklin.
Aye.
Board Member Franklin votes aye. Christine Frizzell.
Aye.
Board Member Frizzell votes aye. Hunter George.
Aye.
Board Member George votes aye. Bruce Harrell.
Aye.
Board Member Harrell votes aye. Ryan Mello.
Aye.
Board Member Mello votes aye. Julie Meredith.
Aye.
Board Member Meredith votes aye. Ed Prince. Deshaun Quinn.
Aye.
Board Member Quinn votes aye. Kim Roscoe.
Aye.
Board Member Roscoe votes aye. Dan Strauss.
Yes.
Board Member Strauss votes aye. Pete Von Reichbauer.
Aye.
Board Member Von Reichbauer votes aye. Christina Walker. Aye. Board Member Walker votes aye. Gurmai Zahalai.
Aye.
Board Member Zahalai votes aye. And Dave Summers.
Aye.
And Chair Summers, with your vote, that's 16 affirmative votes.
Thank you. Motion is adopted. So that's the end of our action items. There are no reports to the board today, and there is no need for an executive session. Is there any other business to come before the board?
Chair, this is
Yes.
Roscoe.
Yes.
I just wanted to comment that I was able to attend the COMTO gala and was so impressed by the recipients of the scholarships. I was walking in and there were two women walking in with me, and just the outward gregarious nature of one of them said, "Oh, how long have you been involved with this organization?" And I said, "This is the first time." In fact, I still, even now, can't remember what the acronym stands for. I have to keep looking it up. So then later learned that she's a recipient, and had the pleasure of sitting at the Sound Transit table, front row seat to seeing all the recipients walk across the stage, the keynote speaker. So thank you for John Sparman for asking me to attend. And it was just so wonderful to see who's in charge of our world next. And it is those award recipients. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yes.
Chair, I'd just like to acknowledge I was present for the minority transportation officials, so conference of minority transportation officials, and it was amazing. And what it is about is raising scholarships for young people to have careers in transportation. And I was also humbled to receive the Leader of the Year award for transportation. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you, Board Member Roscoe, for giving me an opportunity to highlight it. But more importantly, it is how do we start the next generation of folks who lead in transportation? And they're all impressive, and they're impressive every year.
Thank you for that. Congratulations. Anything else? All right. Our next regular Board of Directors meeting will take place on May 22nd from 1:30 to 4. And the meeting will take place in the Ruth Fisher Boardroom as well as via Zoom. The link to join the virtual meeting will be provided on the Sound Transit website and on the meeting agenda. And I'll note that my notes say we are going to adjourn at about 3:10. Good job, staff. They know us too well. So with that, we are adjourned.